Welcome to unit number 3. This is a very interesting unit, and I would like you to approach it not only with a marketer's mind, but also as consumer. Because every day you guys engage in the selection, the purchase, the use, and the getting rid of any kind of offering from different brands. So companies spend a lot of money trying to understand what consumer buy, where do they buy, how do they buy, how much they buy, when do they buy, and especially why they buy. The central questions for marketers is how do consumers respond to the various marketing efforts that the company is using. And it's a very interesting process because companies can analyze the environment, right? Companies can see what's going on at all the economical, technological, social, cultural level. And companies are pretty good about understanding each of the 4 P's that are getting involved in the process. On the other side of the spectrum, companies can analyze the buyer response. They can check the records and see how many units are bought, who are these buyers, where do they buy, and what is the relationship with the brand. What we call the buyer's black box, that's the biggest mystery for the companies, because we as marketers try to analyze what happened in that decision process, but it's only like something happening in the brain at the decision moment that is hard to understand by marketers. So what we're going to see after this is a number of factors that influence that buyer's black box that marketers are trying to unlock. So good luck with that process. Before we go through the process that consumers engage on, we need to understand what kind of product we are trying to market. And what you see here is the 2 big categories of products. The first one is what we call the extended problem solving, and the second one, it will be the routine products. So what we see is that the first case, and a good example could be the buying of a house, the buying of a car, the level of involvement in the process is high. The consumer understands that there are really high consequences of making the wrong decision. So it's going to be a lot of time spent into the getting information. And as you probably understand, the kind of marketing that you will have to engage on is pretty different. It is a huge component of educational information. When you involve yourself in a routine decision-making process, the level of involvement is obviously low. You know that the risk of making a mistake is very slow. Think of a cereal box. If you buy it and you don't like it, the worst that can happen is that, hopefully it doesn't, but you get rid of it and you lose your $2 or $3. So you are going to go through a process of getting information that is going to be faster, and you're going to be really responding to the atmospherics of the point of sale. That's where the marketers are going to concentrate their efforts, okay, at the POS, the point of sale. So packaging and product displays and coupons in the store will play a bigger role. So let's walk through the decision-making process. Everything starts with the recognition of a need. There is this gap between our current state and our ideal state. And this could be because an internal stimuli, we first hungry, we first thirsty, therefore we want a drink or we want some food, or it could be an external stimuli. And marketers are very good at creating ads that make us think that we have a problem. The second step will be that information search. Once we know we have that problem or that need, we start looking for sources of information. And obviously, the first one is internal. We do have previous experience, so we must just go for what we already know. Or we might look into external sources. We can ask family and friends or check other public sources such as consumer report or even the company website or things about what internet is putting at your fingertip, the level of information, the inputs from other consumers and the whole world of reviews that we will discuss later in the semester. And as you probably understand, and you just heard, it's completely different if we are going for an extended problem solving product or just a routine purchase, something that we do every day. After that, we enter in our third step, what we call product evaluation, and we are basically narrowed down a number of brands to a short group. And we can do that screening based, again, in subjective factors, or we can look into the attributes of the brands. Do I care about price? Do I care about quality? What is that make me consider some brands and not other? Finally, we arrive to the decision point. And when you think of decisions, also include the non-buying as a decision. We are thinking that to know where to buy, when to buy is important. But when a customer is abandoning a cart in the middle of a grocery store, I should be able to learn a lot of why this person didn't complete his purchase. The same happened in the internet world. When people put things in the online cart and they don't complete the transaction, we should be able to identify why they are not buying. Some rule of thumb to take those decisions is what we call the heuristics, and sometimes we decide based on price. Sometimes it's the country of origin, what country comes from. It makes us believe that the quality of that product is better, so we take the decision based on that, and even the brand loyalty. Finally, we should be able to analyze after a few days or a few weeks of use how we feel about the product. Hopefully there is not a gap between the expectations we have and the perceived performance, how we feel about the actual performance of that product or service. If there is a big gap, it's going to obviously be a buyer's remorse, and you want to avoid that as a marketer, because an upset customer is going to tell a few friends, and now with the power of internet is going to be able to reach thousands of people with that bad experience. So you want to avoid that. Before we go into the details of the factors that affect that decision, I want you to understand that not always the person that take the decision is the person that buys the product and the person that use. So we talk about 5 different roles in the whole consumer process. It could be one single person, and it could be up to 5 different people. And I want you to think, some of the products you see there on the pictures, you see the Allspice liquid soap. Who do you think is the decider? Who do you think it buys the product at the grocery store? What about the minivan? That's a clear family vehicle. Who do you think could be some of the influencers in that buying? What about cereals? Who decides in your household who buys the cereals? This is the overall map of factors that influence your consumer decisions. The textbook like to group them in 4 different groups. The situational factors, and that include atmospheric, your social situation, the time that you do your purchase, the reason why you buy, and the mood. We have a second group of factors, what we call personal factors, and there you're going to find some demographics, but also some psychographics. And I'm going to be asking you if you think it's more important how old you are or what point of your life cycle you are at. A third group of factors is what we call the psychological factors: motivation, perception, learning, and aptitude. And the last one are the ones related to your place in society, what culture or subculture you belong to, what is your social class, which ones are your reference group, the opinion leaders, and of course the influence of your family. I really want you to reflect on the impact that internet is having in our decision process. And Google has done a great job putting this together in something that they call the zero moment of truth, CMOT. And there is a great video and a book that explain this in detail. But basically, in the traditional process, the consumers get a stimuli from different sources, mostly from advertisers. And with that stimuli, the consumer walk into the store and face the first moment of truth and decide to buy. And then it goes home and face the second moment of truth. Look what's happening now with internet. As consumer, I get the stimuli, and before I actually decide to go into the store, what I'm going to do is to ask people, check online, look for other reference, do a Google search. So there is a number of activities I get involved that companies need to be aware. Have you ever been in a store? Sorry guys, I went too far. Have you ever been in a store and see someone taking a picture or doing a Google search about that product, even reviewing other people's comments? That's happening more and more, and brands need to be aware of that. What they are saying these days is that Best Buy has become the showroom for Amazon. Since we're going to spend a little bit of time doing a store check, I want you to think of that physical environment. What elements do brands control when you walk into the retail space that are going to affect your decision? And I want to just make you think about two different retailers, same product category. We're talking about clothing and fashion, and I want you to think, and I will not give you the answer till we see each other, which one is the first store and which one is the second store. Very different approach, and I want you to think what are the reasons of these different physical environments. Also, to touch briefly on the life cycle, marketers have created different stages that, as you probably understand, are being affected for change in demographics. But traditionally, you go from a bachelor stage to young couple, no kids, full nest with kids under 5 before they enter in elementary school, full nest 2 when you have kids that are in elementary school, full nest 3, older kids, empty nest, kids go to college, the couple remains alone. Maybe some of your parents are in that stage. Eventually, we have those couple moving into retirement. At some point, one of the members of the couple dies, so we talk about solitary survivor one, if there is still a degree of activity and there is